Hi, Sue.
Hi, Deborah. Hi, Arlie.
You're frozen on my screen.
There,
me-
that should be better. Was clicking like a little monkey on the wrong buttons.
Oh.
There you are.
Hello.
It's hot out today. We had 90-degree weather, then we had 60-degree weather. Now we're back up to, I think, 80.
Wow.
We jump around a lot.
I don't remember anything like that back when I lived in Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was just mild temperatures, and I don't think Anacortes had insane switches either. It's amazing in just, 15 years. Well,
I
actually more than
don't
15.
remember how long we've been doing this, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I remember when I first moved to Seattle in '83, we didn't need air conditioning at all. Nobody had air conditioning. You wouldn't have considered air conditioning. And I remember when we left that we had retrofitted 2 different houses with air conditioning because it was untenable to make it through a summer without air conditioning. And
yeah.
that's a big change.
August is usually pretty darn hot, but now it can start anytime from May on and get to 90.
Wow. It's just amazing that people discount global climate change when they're living through this stuff and seeing it.
Oh, I think some of them are paid to discount it, and others are just follow blindly because all the information, all the evidence is right in front of each of us. Yeah. So
Incontrovertible.
yeah. That's the insanity of it. It has nothing to do with evidence at all. For the argument, for someone to argue against the evidence because they don't count the evidence.
Yeah.
So the doctor said I could drive.
Yay.
But I can't hardly get my door open.
That could slow you down.
Oh my gosh, it's such a struggle.
Yeah, if it's not one thing, it's another. Oh, I know the solution. You need to move here where the steering wheel's on the other side so you can open the door easier.
That would help.
Yes.
Yes. That would
The
help.
obvious solution.
And park on a hill so that my door is always downhill.
That could help.
Hello.
You're back.
Sorry. Yeah, it kept cutting out, so I went to the other computer. Sorry.
So what do we want to do?
Change the world.
Change the world.
I think that's reasonable. I could get behind that.
Sorry. My light was falling off the back of the desk. So I got on this afternoon, but nobody else got on.
On
The
where?
coffee clutch. The coffee clutch.
The coffee clutch I thought was supposed to be the 29th.
It's every Tuesday, Thursday.
Huh? I thought it was
It's
every
every-
She
Tuesday.
sent out a special email that it was going to be on the 29th at 1, and no one was there when I went.
It was the 29th was
Was
Wednesday.
Yesterday.
Wednesday your time.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
I was
Yeah,
there
I-
at 1:05. I missed you. I think it was 05. Something. I was on something yesterday and I was late by 5 minutes. And it took me 5 minutes to get into the Zoom.
Yeah, I
Always
waited for a while. I don't remember exactly how long. And then I just figured, right?
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Sorry. What did I miss while I was re-signing in?
chat on global climate change and people not being able to believe it and various and sundry reasons why that is. One personal experience, one commentary on that. You didn't miss anything.
No, I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm giving my PTOs and my tag teams new jobs.
Do tell.
So I am giving them the job to Deep Six. All hatred, greed, exploitation, racism, sexism, homophobia, violence, divisions, poverty, and ignorance.
That's good.
Because to me, that's the emotional matrix that is holding us in a consciousness of power over or victim. It just seems to me it's power over or victim.
How much of it is fear?
Well, all of it, I would say. To me, somebody said they listed 100 different forms of fear.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think everything from ego and intellect is fear. That's just me. That's what I think. It's all fear.
Yeah, I mean, we're hardwired fight or flight. So
That's fear.
yeah. So how much of that is yeah. So yeah. Anyway. Okay. Yeah. I'm just trying to wrap my head around all the Supreme Court decisions and what they're sending back to the states, what they're saying aren't constitutional rights, what's just the whole thing. And I'm just sort of not sure where to even start except Deep Six and put it all back into what's true, what's good for the world, what's, right and just. And when they interviewed the West Virginia governor today, because West Virginia had brought the suit from against EPA, and he was like, well, why should it be in the hands of these decisions be in the hands of power-hungry bureaucrats? We need to send it where it belongs, like Congress. And I'm like EPA, the power-hungry bureaucrats are mainly scientists who really aren't trying to do it for the power. They're trying to do it for the right thing. and put it back in the hands of Congress, who are all funded by private money with agendas.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And it just was, yeah. So that's what's going around for me is.
I read they were talking about trauma and women who have grown up with abuse and doubting themselves for the rest of their lives because they could not make sense or find any solutions for the family they were living in, the dynamics of the family. And the therapist said, "You're not crazy. You're not the one crazy. You know what is happening, and they're denying it's happening are the ones who are crazy. And you can't make sense out of that because it is nonsensical. It's irrational. It's illogical. It's just plain insanity. And that's what we're seeing. To me, that's what we're seeing. You can't make sense of it. I can't change it. I can't control it. I didn't cause it. And I'm just going to put out the vibrations for a healthier way of living. And I don't know what's going to happen. To me, in the United States, they're pushing for a civil war. They're saying, go ahead.
I think they're pushing for a somewhat gradual fascist takeover, actually, and a dictator of their choosing, a religious dictator of their choosing. Yeah. I don't think they want it via civil war. I think that the Republicans have had a 100-year plan. We're in about year 60 of it, but they started out with all the jerry-rigging of the districts so that they start out with a 20-member lead guaranteed in both houses. Gerrymandering, I meant. And now with change, then they changed the laws so that you didn't have to tell the truth on TV. Then they changed the laws so that the advertising department was not hardline separated from the news department, so that the advertisers could say, if you print this story, I'm pulling my advertising. And so they started controlling the news cycles. Then they started with the dumbing down of the schools by putting more kids in classrooms. I mean, when my kids were going to school, there were 17 kids in 4th grade. Now there's 30. And they mainstreamed, because mainstreaming is so good for these kids, all of the kids with behavior problems who are intellectually disadvantaged and who have problems like autism, ADD, ADHD, and they did not give the teachers any teacher aides or anything like that. So kids are not getting the education they used to be getting. So you have 4th grade textbooks, 4th grade level textbooks coming out of Texas. That was the money issue with the textbooks. You guys know this, right? About the textbooks. Okay, so in order to make money making a textbook, you have to sell thousands of them. The only way you're going to sell thousands of textbooks is if you get the Texas school board on board with this particular textbook. So you make textbooks that reflect Texas values and morals. So you don't teach social studies and you don't teach, race, critical race theory, and the things you don't teach is amazing. And you don't have vocabulary over a 4th grade level. And you teach really important concepts in 1 or 2 sentences. The Constitution is freedom. And you don't tell them that separation of church and state is a big freedom, which is where you get Boebert from. So they've been doing this for over 50 years, and it's working a treat. I mean, critical thinking is no longer taught in schools. People have no idea what the Constitution says or why separation of church and state is in there, or why it's important that you have a inheritance tax so that we don't have inherited royalty and inherited upper class. Inheritance tax took care of all that, so we wouldn't have kings and queens sort of thing, and they got rid of that. Then you have Ronald Reagan, who took away the taxes on imported goods and made it absolutely cost effective to ship your company overseas. And the changes that Reagan wrought were no longer could one worker in a household support a family with a stay-at-home person taking care of the kids, have a car, have a vacation, even if it was camping for 2 weeks, have something in savings, and get a upper level schooling while working, you know, a summer job or something. Reagan did all of that in one 8-year term. I mean, it's amazing what he was able to destroy. Yeah, so we're in a 100-year plan, and they are so far ahead of their schedule that it's unbelievable, in my humble opinion. I mean, they have the Supreme Court already, just by saying, we're not going to let you have a pick. And people stood for that. So we're not going to let you have a pick, but the rules that we use to not give you a pick, we have 2 weeks now to get somebody in, and we're going to get it done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
The rules
where do we
apply.
start to work on this? I think that you would have to start with the people who are the main enablers, like Mitch McConnell, for instance, who absolutely backed Trump on the 2-week get in this horrible piece of trash sort of person. I mean, Trump is kind of a puppet. You have to get the puppet masters, is the way that I see it.
Right.
I've been working on Mitch McConnell, obviously ineffectively, but I've been giving it the old shot. So,
Well, because of free will, we have to be careful, because if we are doing anything that is in any way a power over, we are exercising the same energy they are. And
Agreed.
that makes me part of the problem. And that can come back and bite me.
I agree absolutely completely, but there is absolutely no problem with having the book, metaphorically speaking, fall on McConnell's head, where it says, here's why we have separation of church and state. Here's why we need 2 parties choosing the Supreme Court. You know, this is what a crawl into fascism looks like. Not saying you will now go up against Trump, you will now, you know, none of that. Just get him educated and give him, open up the chance for him to change his mind, however that is done. Open up the chance for him to do things differently than he is doing them now. Because God knows I'm not going to try to tell someone else what to do.
No. So in everyday life, what I'm finding is that I can't tell somebody to do things differently, but by being, let's say there's 5 people in a family, in a committee, 5 people in a committee, and one person is trying to be the dictator. It's usually somebody who has spent their career in charge, and they don't know how to share the power. So they automatically step up and say, I know how to do this, I'll do it. It's okay. You don't have to be bothered. I'll do it. And what I'm finding is that it takes a support system to bring him into line, because he can't see alternatives. And one person telling him is a conflict. And it's his history to overcome conflict. So I don't know how to do that in the biggest world. I don't know how to do that in the bigger scale. So people make changes by being the change, leading by example, and saying that doesn't work for us. What we have found, and through a discussion, coming up with a different way of doing things. When you're working with a group of people who absolutely are not willing to change, I don't know anything to do with them except turn them over to spirit, because there are alternatives to everything, but I don't see them.
Okay. How about if we work with thought forms? A thought has physical energy.
Yep.
We've all been standing in a room and we know that we're being stared at, and we turn around and sure enough, some guy in the back is staring at us, and I don't know. Thoughts have energy. So what happens if we make a thought form, even a mild one that says there's a different way to do things, or one that says inclusion is good, or one that says your committee is here to support you, or all of those together, and bounce them off his aura.
Something like that. Yes, that's the direction I'm moving in. I'm giving my tag team Deep Six these emotions that are ruling the world, and presenting alternatives that are principles, spiritual laws. Okay, thought forms, principles, spiritual laws. How do we bring those into the world of chaos?
Well, I'm one of these people that, and the way that I work, and it seems to be effective in a lot of the different healing sorts of stuff that I do, is I figure out what it is I'm going to do. I figure out how it's going to work. I get some kind of picture of that, not necessarily a real representation, but a thing that I can feel or hold or touch or hear, or, you know, somehow I know that it's real and it's happened. And then I set it on a back burner and just kind of broadcast it all day long, all night long. It's just a thing that's happening. And then when I think about it, you know, like, oh yeah, McConnell, and I'll send out some more, you know, little jet powered thought forms to bounce off it, sort of thing. And I do that until I no longer feel connected to that particular item / form of work.
Okay.
So, Sue, I have a question for you. I guess it was a question. So I'm hearing you say that there are individuals who are having power over others by inflaming their fears, their different emotions. And people are reacting to what people are saying from their emotions. And they're not discerning the truth behind what other people are saying or doing, but just reacting from their fears or whatever emotions. And it's sort of like, how do you, I don't know, my question is, so there's two parts. There's one who's playing on them and with trying to get to lead them by power over or whatever, by using their fears or emotions. And then there's the other ones who are, I don't know if you want to say the victims, or not discerning the truth of what this other being or agenda or group or whatever is wanting to do. So how do we get to the one group to being not power over, but, you know, what's the greatest good? And people discerning when people aren't telling them the truth or the greatest good or working to the greatest good. I don't know. Is that what you're, so what I guess I'm getting to, what is your outcome? What do you want as an outcome? What are you holding as the
When I
highest
was listening, to Arlie, what came in was the thought form, there's a better way. And just sending it out there, there's a better way. And that would apply to power over, and that would apply to I'm a victim. Maybe that's what I got, was just sending that out. There's a better way. Because there's a better way feels like it includes a spiritual principle and a spiritual law.
Right. And I don't see any reason why we couldn't even point them toward that better way if we can get it down succinct enough, like get off right-wing radio or something. I don't think that's or consider, let's put in some fluffy words.
I'm doing a time check. We have 5 minutes.
Okay. You know, change your TV station. Consider changing your TV station. A simple thing like that. Just, I don't know, shotgun different ways of turning energy, using energy to turn people to see a better way or to open to a better way. You're not going to change things if you keep doing the same old thing.
Right.
Okay. So the thought forms would be used to make a small enough change that openings are possible. Openings are created that they can choose to walk down. You know, today would be a good day to watch Rachel Maddow. You know.
Okay, that I'm going to start off with there's a better way and broadcast that because it's non-threatening. It's non-invasive. It's non-confrontational. I'm going to start with that. Next week, I may plant a different seed to broadcast. Change the station, read a book.
Yeah.
Stop talking to the lunatics.
Yeah, I want to do something a little more powerful than there's a better way. Change would, let's see. Being open to change is a good thing. Change is good. Something with the idea of it's possible to change.
Yes,
that might be it.
we are talking about people who have made the decision they don't want to change.
I'm well aware of that. And a lot of people, okay, here's another side that I see of what we're up against. So you have little Johnny Hick, and he's from Hicksville, and his parents are all rednecks of the worst uneducated kind. None of them completed 8th grade, sort of thing. Somehow he goes off to college, and these are actually true cases. And he has this scholarship. He meets all these different people. He gets an education. He comes home. He is a different person, and he thinks differently. And he's no longer such a racist. And he's no longer all of these things that the stereotypes that apply to his parents. However, he has to live in this town for one reason or another, because that's where his heart is or where his wife wants. I mean, I don't know, make up a scenario. He reverts.
Yeah.
And goes back to being Johnny Hick. And that is a story that I have heard on many, many, many different occasions from people.
Yeah.
Yes. So maintaining change is possible. I don't know. I'll have to put some work into what has that snappy little energetic feel to it.
So I'm
you know, when
to,
you do energy work, you know that really good feeling when you're connected.
Yeah, yes. But I get that really good feeling when I'm connected, when I don't focus on a specific outcome, I get absolutely high anxiety when I focus on a specific outcome for something not mine.
Well, I've always found that when I leave it up to the divine, that it manifests much better and in a bigger way than I would have
Thought.
orchestrated in my mind. And
Yeah.
in you know, more pieces that I was missing. So I leave it, it's like this or something better kind of thing. And
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. So,
Yep.
okay, so I'm not sure yet what I'm gonna work on. Change
Okay.
the save. I don't know. I'll ask my guides for some help.
Yeah, I'm going to take the idea of thought forms as opposed to just broadcasting energy using Tesla towers and all these other things that we've talked about and done, and ask my guides for the wording, giving heavy consideration to what you said, Sue and Debbie. So,
Okay, do you want me to set a timer?
sure.
So I can go 5 or 10 more minutes.
Okay, should I set the
Yeah,
timer?
I
for
can do
5?
about 10 more minutes and that's it. Because,
Okay, I'll set the timer for 5. We can come back and check in.
okay.
Okay. Oops, that was 5 minutes.
Okay.
Didn't mean to startle everyone.
Okay, that was fascinating.
Go ahead.
Because I did not know where there's a better way was going. In my mind, I thought it was going out to humanity. Wrong. It went to, well, I hadn't thought it through. Okay, this is my thought form. So there's a better way. I just put it out there. And Tesla shows up and says, yeah, there is. And so he's broadcasting the information he figured out a long time ago. And it's going into consciousness. Others showed up and they're broadcasting into consciousness. They are broadcasting into a consciousness of solution. So the human consciousness, the mass majority aren't going to hear it, listen to it, or recognize it, or ever be aware of it. But there are light workers all over the world who are practicing tuning into meditation. They're going to get these inventions. They're going to get new methods, new ideas, new thought forms based on principles and universal laws, and inventions that revolutionize how we will no longer rely on electricity. And we will no longer be a slave to the companies that own the electricity. I've heard of this before. So this is the first time I saw an action from above, making it available to anyone willing to tap in and do something with it. So there is a better way. I feel really good. I'm complete.
Carly?
I went toward my plan of sending out thought forms. And the wording that came to me was leadership can be for the good of all. And just sending that out so those who are leaders or would like to lead or have tried to lead and are willing to give it another go, maybe can start from a different perspective than winners and losers. I'm done.
Thanks. Well, my guides took me to Washington, D.C. and we're working on the Supreme Court, the Capitol, and the White House, which is the executive, legislature, and judicial branches. And it took me a minute to realize it because those were the three. So we have to do all three. And working on that, and there was, and it was also then on the Constitution and on the Bill of Rights, the documents themselves, and doing tag work on all the people in those, the ideas, the agendas, the, who's controlling the 100-year plan, who's, and getting it down to so that it comes to supporting divine purpose for the good of all and can come into harmony. You said we need to do states, and it's like, nope, this is where the division is starting. This is, we got to get it here. and start there. So that's what we did. I like Tesla and all sending ideas. Woke up with a dream for this little machiny thing, but I don't know how it worked and all, but it could, and I've seen, I've seen that there's going to be new things to do electricity from, you can design it into clothes and you'll generate energy while you wear something and different things. I mean, just all kinds of ways to do it, but I don't know how to do it, but it's right on. So I'm willing for people who know how to do that to get them and bring them into being. So ladies, one thing we didn't do at the beginning, which I realized when I went into my meditation, we didn't set our sacred
The
circle
circle.
at the beginning. And I think it showed today. We're a little bit not as focused. So just a reminder to me to help us set space at the beginning.
Yeah, I noticed that about 2 minutes ago too. And I was thinking,
And when I started meditating, I'm like, oh, I got to set my circle. And we didn't do that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just for our safety too, and for our better reception of information. Well, good to see everybody. Have a safe 4th of July. I don't know if you celebrate 4th of July at being Americans and
oh
New
yeah,
Zealand.
we're going to be, I'm making signs. We're going to hold a happy 4th of July protest down at the embassy. It's going to be great.
What are you going to
Great.
protest?
We're protesting the Supreme Court decisions. Yep. There seemed to be
I kind of hope there's a worldwide class suit against them.
yeah, sometimes I would like to have a metaphysical discussion about, politics and, where we're going and all that with you guys. I think that would be very, very interesting since we all
Coffee
live in
clutch.
such, coffee clutch, exactly, disparate places, and manage to actually meet there.
I gotta go. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Yep, gonna go too. Bye-bye, Deb. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.